In the last video, we took a look at using the automatic mode. In my opinion, the automatic mode is a fantastic way to do your pitch correction when using auto-tune. And in many ways, when I turn to auto-tune for a pitch correction tool, that is what I'm looking at specifically, is I need something that I can throw on and have real-time pitch correction that's giving me great results. Now, that being said, in certain cases, you may find yourself in need of having more control. Now, when you are in those situations where you need to, for example, process different sets of the vocal phrases with different parameters, then we have the manual or graphical mode in which we can actually edit the pitch correction automation or pitch correction data directly from within the GUI. So before we go ahead and do that, I want to do one thing quickly, and that is I want to set something that works for me in terms of automatic mode for the general majority of this song. So let's go ahead and play this, and we'll take this out of solo. So I have a retune speed that's not too aggressive. Maybe we can go a little bit higher. And I'm using flex tune and humanize so that I'm taking some of the edge off and I'm preserving some of the natural human element of this vocal performance. Let's go to a different section of the song.
I've got to be strong now, I'm ready. Hold on, keep steady, gonna give it my all and never regret it, good, bad, right or wrong.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? Let's just turn this up a little bit, even like maybe 1 dB, so that our vocal is sitting a little bit more on top.
I've got to be strong now, I'm ready. Hold on, keep steady.
And as a reminder where we started,
I've got to be strong now, I'm ready. Hold on, keep steady, gonna give it my all.
Okay, so let's say that I'm happy with this as a starting point. Now, there's a reason that I like setting something in the auto mode, even if I plan to work in the manual mode. So let's go back to the beginning of our track. A couple things worth mentioning. First of all, we're going to click this graph, and now we are entering the graphical mode for the GUI of this plugin. First things first, in terms of order of operation, one thing to take note of is that essentially we are recording the vocal performance of this track into the cache of this plugin. Now, in the case where we're using the pitch, it's going to cache, and in the case of using the pitch time, it's actually creating a brand new file in a location in our hard drive. Now, this is determined based on the preferences within our data file management, this particular preference over here. So let's go ahead now, and we need to record the actual vocal performance into the plugin. I'm going to go ahead and navigate into the timeline of my DAW, and let's go ahead and with our pitch icon blinking, we'll go ahead and transfer that over.
I've been blood, black and blue.
Let's take it out of solo.
I've been blood, walked for miles without my shoes. I've been walking, I'm still walking the road, I'm undecided.
And we'll get this last phrase as well.
About time I get to driving.
Okay, excellent. Now you'll notice the minute I push stop that this kind of zoomed into view based on the transfer that we just did. That is because we actually have this set up ahead of time. So zoom to data after tracking. That's a useful setting to set up in general. All right, so now that we have this section transferred, at this point, once you have information transferred into the actual cache of the plugin, we could go ahead and start doing some editing over here. But before we do that, I actually want to head over to a separate part of the song, which is right over here.
I've got to be strong now, I'm ready.
And this time I want to do a transfer, but instead of just doing pitch, I'm going to do pitch and time. Now, this is different in that it will not only allow us to edit the vocal performance in terms of its pitch, but we can also edit the timing of the performance as well. But it's important to note that if you need to do any pitch and time adjustments, that you need to make sure that you choose pitch and time versus just a straight pitch. So let's go ahead from this particular point in our DAW timeline. I'm going to transfer that section using the pitch and time option.
I've got to be strong now, I'm ready. Hold on, keep steady, gonna give it my all and never regret it, good, bad, right or wrong. Life is a song. It will go on.
Okay, So now one thing to note over here is that this particular section, we could make any adjustments using all these functions, but if I wanted to do any timing adjustments, you'll note that if I choose this tool, I don't have the option to do that. If I choose this tool, I don't have the option to do that either here. If I come to this section of the audio, let's use our zoom shortcut over here. Any time we want to zoom to something, we can use this in the bottom timeline, and this will allow us to zoom. Now, in this section, I do have the option to use these same tools. So let's go back to the beginning of our track over here, and I'm going to choose my pointer tool. Now, this is essentially the first step to working in graphical mode. We need to transfer the audio into the actual plugin so that it's loaded into the cache, or it's loaded into the external section where it needs to cache that information, so that we can actually go ahead and start making adjustments to this and do our processing. Now, that being said, I want to kind of take a break and I want to explore these tools in detail, every single one of these tools. And then after we take a look at those tools and we know what it is that they do, then at that point, we will actually go ahead and we will start making some manual adjustments to these. So we'll catch you for more in the next video.